Most video games contain one or multiple linear paths that direct players towards an ending, and while the ultimate goal of these games is to reach their story's conclusions, oftentimes players are encouraged to stray from these destinations. Of course, in titles such as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, players often find themselves enticed towards ignoring their intended goal simply due to a desire to explore the vast world around them. While the freedom of exploration present in the aforementioned game's world is a reward in of itself, many developers have opted to scatter a number of collectibles throughout the worlds of their releases in order to further reward those who go out of their way to discover all that they can. Collectibles, due to their illusory nature, are optional, not being required in order to reach a game's end, and because of this, they can be implemented in a variety of ways. While not every video game contains these, the titles which do house collectibles infuse them with varying degrees of notability. Certain collectibles will grant players who discover them access to new levels, music, or other content, while others, when wandered across, will grant no additional reward other than the satisfaction that comes with collecting them. Spending time searching for collectibles will yield differing levels of success depending on the game being played, and it's this unpredictable malleability that makes collectibles so unique and enticing. As mentioned earlier, some of these collectibles offer little more than bragging rights when snagged, but that doesn't mean that they aren't worth tracking down. A recent example of a title with collectibles like this is Luigi's Mansion 3. Within the third installment of Luigi's frightening and exotic series are numerous gemstones, which upon being collected present players with a reskinned rendition of the suction shot, which has no notably different features save for its shiny new color scheme. Despite this lackluster reward, these gemstones, which are also present in Luigi's Dark Moon, are worth collecting simply thanks to the puzzles that come with uncovering their locations. While obtaining a large amount of these crystalline objects serves no practical purpose, exploring the manor to an extent that one is uncovered despite its obscure location is a satisfying activity. Similarly, the strawberries present in Celeste also present no notable reward save for an increased number on the save file in which they were collected. Despite this, however, collecting these fruits provides a demanding set of challenges which can hone the skill of players even further than the base game will. Similarly, sunken scrolls, which are collectibles contained in Splatoon 2, are presented in a similar manner, offering little in the way of rewards save for experience and illustrations containing small portions of lore. Mem cakes found in the title's expansion are also rather nugatory, serving no immediate purpose aside from entering a player's inventory upon completion of a station. Many of these fundamentally useless collectibles also take the forms of trophies, statues, or other physical manifestations of characters, enemies, or items encountered in a given title. A notable example of this is in The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. This title contains an NPC who, when shown pictures of various friends or foes, will create statues resembling them. These collectibles are similar in concept to the collectible treasures in Paper Mario: The Origami King, the figurines present in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and the catch cards found in Super Paper Mario. All of these collectibles, while fun to obtain, do little to increase the quality of their respective titles' gameplay. But despite this, their inclusion creates a degree of charm that wouldn't have existed without them. There also exists certain collectibles which, while not altering gameplay, do provide some consistent changes to certain characters and enemies' palettes, as well as music tracks. A notable example of cosmetic changing collectibles is present within Yoshi's Woolly World. Each level that is contained within this game hides 5 bundles of Wonder Wool, and following the collection of a level's complete set of these colorful items, players are able to weave a new Yoshi back to life, whose hues and patterns represent the level that their scattered cloth was confined in. Shy Guy Yoshi can be unlocked by nabbing all the Wonder Wools in Shy But Deadly, and Cookie Yoshi can be stitched to life using the wool collected in Yoshi and Cookies. Dozens of Yoshis can be saved through this method of collecting Wonder Wool, and while different Yoshis do not grant any abilities unique to them, the numerous exotic patterns, whether based off of a simple landscape or a 30-year-old console, are very much defining features of Yoshi's Woolly World. Entering a level and making predictions as to what new Yoshi it will reveal with only the color of its Wonder Wools to go off of adds even more excitement to a game already packed with enjoyable content. Rift tokens, which exist as the most abundant collectibles in a Hat in Time, work similarly. Rift tokens can be found throughout the game's numerous chapters, with some lying in plain sight and others requiring some difficult platforming or focused searching to obtain. When 3 of these tokens line Hat Kid's pockets, they may be spent at a token machine in order to obtain a prize. Said prize can be one of 3 things: a remix of a particular level's music track, a different wacky model for one of Hat Kid's hats, or or a pellet swapped for Hat Kid. All three of these forms of prizes are welcome, and while none of them directly affect gameplay, the sheer number of them is quite impressive. The Super Smash Bros. Series also has a number of notable collectibles, from JPEGs to 3D JPEGs, but the one that I have the fondest memories of are the CDs, which first appeared in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and reappeared in the series Wii U installment. These CDs, which appear identical to their real-world counterparts, appear randomly during battles, and when grabbed by a player, unlock one of the many music tracks present in their games. These CDs only reveal themselves for a limited time, however, so when one becomes visible, it's recommended to secure it as quickly as possible. Again, these collectibles don't alter the gameplay of their respective titles, but their implementation nevertheless does add content. Needless to say, collectibles do oftentimes provide a degree of importance, despite the minor effects of those I've mentioned thus far. Whether health or power upgrades or additional items, some collectibles can alter their title's gameplay in some very noticeable ways. Pieces of heart and heart containers are widely recognizable examples of this type of collectible. These collectibles, which either appear fragmented or pieced together, are present in almost every installment in the Legend of Zelda series, and reasonably so. Fundamentally, these are rather unexciting items, serving only to increase Link's health, but despite their simplistic nature, the benefits that these collectibles offer are necessary in order to grant players the feeling that their protagonist is growing stronger. Though they are optional, heart containers allow for Link to absorb the damage of many more attacks, falls, and effects, and while this is often a detail which is taken for granted, it's nevertheless a very important one which has been highlighted more prominently than ever within The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's safe to assume that a majority of the population which has played this game have at one point performed an action, such as breaking a shield while surfing or forgetting to equip clothing with ample defense, that they'd have not done had they just began their journey. At the title's onset, every enemy, cliff, and weather condition poses some degree of threat towards players, but as they obtain heart containers, these threats, while still existing, become far less noticeable, allowing players to focus more on exploring Hyrule than hiding from its dangers, oftentimes without even noticing said transition. Of course, this game's more well-known collectible, for all of the wrong reasons, is the Korok Seed, and these small items also grant useful upgrades. These seeds can be found all throughout Hyrule and are used to upgrade Link's inventory space reserved for melee weapons, bows, and shields. These upgrades are immensely useful and make the collecting of Korok Seeds a highly valuable task, at least until around half of them are discovered. Within the ruined kingdom of Hyrule rests 900 of these seeds, yet only half of them can be used to upgrade Link's inventory. The most stoic of players may opt to obtain all 900 of these collectibles, and upon doing so, they're granted an unappetizing item that serves only to make a certain enlarged Korok dance for them. Straying from this title, badges, which are present in Paper Mario as well as its sequel, also provide alterations to their title's gameplay, as do star shards, as they allow for the purchasing of badges. These badges have varying effects, with some increasing Mario or his partner's attack power or luck, and others simply granting the red-clad protagonist an appearance resembling that of his brother. There are many other collectibles which abide by this format, such as power seals from the Messenger, which grant access to an upgraded projectile, and pale ore from Hollow Knight, which can be used to forge stronger weapons, and their ability to present gameplay changes to those who discover them greatly encourages players to explore as thoroughly as they can. Even more desirable than those that guard certain upgrades or desirable items are collectibles which offer entirely new levels in their respective games. Collectibles like these are unsurprisingly plentiful, as the reward of unique levels serves to easily motivate players into searching for them. Such collectibles are heavily utilized in both Mario's 2D and 3D adventures and take forms such as Power Stars, Shine Sprites, Power Moons, and Star Coins. Of course, the former three that were just mentioned are required in order to complete the games that they're present in, but only to an extent. A set number of Power Stars is required to reach and complete the final required galaxies in Super Mario Galaxy and its sequel, but in both games, more of these collectibles can be obtained than necessary, unlocking additional galaxies which contain challenges that are far more difficult than those that precede them. Similarly, only the 7th Shine Sprite in each of Super Mario Sunshine's levels needs to be collected in order to finish the game's story, but additional shines can be obtained in each level which open the way to even more challenges. Power Moons also act in a similar manner within Super Mario Galaxy, as do Star Coins, which are present within the new Super Mario Bros. series. Straying from adventures starring Mario, Donkey Kong Country Returns and its sequel also have collectibles which are similar to those previously mentioned in the form of Kong letters. Collecting all of these shiny orange letters in specific worlds unlocks temple levels, which are generally much more daunting than a normal level. Smiley flowers, which appear in many of Yoshi's two-dimensional adventures, act identically to these puzzle pieces. And Super Gems, the primary collectibles of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, also aid in the unlocking of various additional levels. While not always the most exciting, these collectibles certainly incentivize players to obtain them more than most others, thanks to the large-scale unlockables they grant. Collectibles have been present in video games for decades, offering varying degrees of usefulness dependent on what their ownership grants players. Because of the vastly differing unlockables that collectibles can grant, many are deemed more worthy of players' times than others, but their worth is not solely defined based on these rewards which they conceal. Regardless of whether they give players different cosmetic features, new levels, or nothing at all, many collectibles are simply fun to obtain thanks to the nature of their locations. Many are present atop great heights which can prove treacherous to scale, or dark caverns which are risky to navigate through. Because they're often either hidden or placed in plain sight but nevertheless challenging to collect, collectibles not only grant players who are by nature driven by curiosity some form of reward for their sidetracking, but also provide incentives for players who may rather rush to a game's finish to stop and enjoy what else titles have to offer. Thank you all so much for watching.